Wow, One Piece chapter 1048, man. I'm gonna say it right now. Oda is very smooth with the way he handled this. Like, the way that the chapter opens up, where you got Kaido and Luffy and their fight is continuing, but the way the chapter ends off and you got all of those prayers that are written on those balloons and the people are saying, I wish that Orochi would die. I wish Orochi would go to hell. I wish that we would get free from here. The way that you see how it opens up where Kaido's telling Luffy, you've been the hero that all these people have been waiting on. And you see how in this chapter, it ends off in the manner that it did. Everything came full circle. I like what Oda did with this, man. Like, the whole theme of this chapter basically being about having faith and having that faith being rewarded. I thought that this was a very, very good payoff by Oda right here. So with my initial thoughts out of the way, let's back things up a bit and let's go ahead and get into the recap portion of the review. So the chapter opens up where you have Momo and he's telling Luffy, like, I can't move this island. I don't know what you're saying. And you have Momo and he's thinking back to everything. And you get this moment where you can tell that Momo's basically trying to push through his limits right now, because Momo's recalling his family. He's recalling his mother, his younger sister, his father. And Momo's trying to pay off exactly what Luffy said, which is that he had faith in him. And Luffy pays that off by continuing to charge towards Kaido. And you see Kaido just grinning this wicked grin as Luffy is having this huge hockey enhanced punch get ready to rain down from the sky, and Kaido tells him, I'm gonna take your punch, that's no problem. However, did you know that the hero of Wano burned to death 20 years ago? And when Kaido said this, my first reaction was like, is he getting ready to burn Luffy? And that's exactly what happens. Kaido activates the flame dragon torch, and Kaido basically says that when you try and hit me, I'm going to burn that giant fist of yours completely off. And so Luffy momentarily has to let go of Kaido. However, that's when we get a little bit of a flashback and Luffy says, I'm not gonna melt. I'm not gonna have to actually physically touch you in order to hit you. And we go back to the training that he did when he was in the prison, and Luffy basically says, I've learned how to dish out damage without touching you. And you get this moment where this spread just has this huge fist raining out the sky, and you see Kaido going into the sky trying to make the contact, and you see the explosion of haki is just so big that Luffy has to momentarily close his eyes. And meanwhile, inside of the castle itself, you have Usopp. He's freaking out because he's like, oh my god, Kiku and Ken, I didn't mean to drop you. And you can tell like Kanemon's just completely out of it. But what I like about this is that even though Kanemon's out of it, there's just that level of contentment right there, because Kanemon knows that Luffy's going to handle things. He's put faith in it. He's gone as far as he can go. And that just fits into one of the overall themes that you had of the chapter itself. And I like how you have all of the samurai saying, go Straw Hat, go. You get the flashbacks, and this is super dark right here, where you see Kanemon leading everybody away from Odin's death. And you have this moment where Kaido's made aware that Odin has a son, and Kaido says, don't worry about it, I'll go take care of the son. And when some of the samurai try to stand up against Kaido, Kaido just knocks them all out using that giant club of his. And you see how the Kozuki Castle's been burned down. You have Orochi saying, all you Daimo, go ahead and choose. Are you going to assist us in making Wano great again, or are you going to choose war? And all of the Daimo basically say that they're going to honor their pledge to support Odin. They're going to try and avenge Odin. And you see Kaido just wipe out the competition, and it just shows the true darkness that comes from everything that Kaido has managed to do in the time since he took over Wano. And some of those panels are just brutal, the way that they're getting burned alive. I thought that this did a very good job of just capturing the brutality of Kaido as a character. It makes you really appreciate what's about to happen when Luffy eventually takes him down. And you have Orochi saying like, hey, you samurai, man, you guys are so stupid. What happened to the samurai keeping their word? And some of the samurai, they try to kind of mouth back, and you have one of the injured men saying, hey, keep your mouth quiet because Orochi can hear a pin drop. We can't talk anything like this. And because they failed to make that stand, you have this moment where Orochi's having all men of working age brought forward and they're taken to the prison. You have this moment where one of Kaido's beast pirates pulls a gun on one of the women, and basically the husband's ripped from the home. You have the child who is crying as a result of this. And what's so crazy about this is the fact that that kind of made me think back to what happened with Nami and with Arlong, where Nami's mother was shot right in front of her. And it's a similar thing here where that child's gonna be traumatized as a result. And you see how some of the people, they've been basically starving to death. You got bones in a barren wasteland at this point. And what's very, very troubling about what we're seeing is that we see how some of these men, they've been working to the bone inside the prison, and you see as Orochi has basically thrown out the smile fruits, and that same woman who had that gun pulled on her a couple of pages earlier, she's now smiling and laughing because she's ingested the smile fruit. It looks like her child also had the smile fruit, and it just shows you how far Orochi and Kaidou have actually taken things. And that's when we shift over and we get Kawamatsu or Hiyori, whichever one you want to call her, and she's being confronted with Orochi, and Orochi's like, look, you know, you and I, we can share drinks together when we meet again in the afterlife. And before Hiyori can actually be hit by the attack that he's trying to launch out, you have this moment where Kaidou gets his head completely cut off. And at this point, this man's had so many fake out deaths. I'm hoping this is the one time where he's actually taken out. And what's so poetic about it, if this ends up being the case, is that essentially his head's cut off and you have all of the wishes of the people of Wano basically getting their wish, because they're saying, I wish that Orochi would go away. Please free us from this hell. I want to drink clean water again. You see how Luffy is bringing about change to Wano, and it's because of everything that Luffy's gone through from when he first met Kinemon back on Punk Hazard all the way until now. Everything has led Luffy to this point, and I kind of feel like this is probably the most poetic way to actually end. I don't see this fight with Kaidou going much longer just because of where we're at right now. You know, like, it's one of those things where as a writer, sometimes the story gets to a point where it just feels like this is a satisfying conclusion. And that's where I think we're at right now with Kaidou and Luffy. I don't think this fight needs to go much longer than a couple more chapters, because this feels like this might be it. Now, I might be wrong. Oda might have something completely crazy planned when it comes to Kaidou and Kaidou being able to reverse the tables, but this definitely feels like a climax right here. And it feels like now that Orochi's been taken out, you kind of have to go ahead and wrap Kaidou up in the next couple of chapters. You don't want to do it in like the next chapter, but I do think in the next couple, you probably want to wrap this up. Kind of similar to how you had Zoro take out King and you had Sanji take out Queen. At this point, if Luffy has to continue fighting, I kind of feel like this might be a little unbelievable, but we'll see. I trust Oda. I mean, I wouldn't have continued reading One Piece for as long as I have, reading from 2015 up until now, if I didn't think that the man knew how to actually handle an arc ending. I think that this has potential to go down as probably one of the better arcs in One Piece. I'd probably put this one like in my top 5 somewhere, just because of all the different Japanese things that have been mixed in and the way that you're getting a lot of payoff and you're getting a lot of emotional moments here in Wano. I really feel like right now this needs to be what actually ends Kaidou. And that's gonna be my chapter question for you guys. By the time you guys got to this point in the story right here, did you guys think that this needed to be the moment where Kaidou was taken down? While you think that over, click here to watch these other Straw Hat Kryptonian Saiyan videos.